Hello, Paul Hamchick. First thing I said was Croutonic today. Ed Worley. Hello, Ed. Gordon Smith saying good evening from Denmark. Thank you, Gordon, for that video report you sent. Things are heating up in Europe. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Peter Taylor in New York City. Peter, thanks for your comm this morning. David Price is in the Horse Pistol in Sydney. Yeah, we got a picture of David, thanks to his bride, Christiane. He's in good shape, though. Tier de Jong in SoCal. Greg Phillips from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And who else is on here? Andrew Pindar, evening from a balmy Brexit bollocks to Britain. Your PM's having a go of it, isn't she, Andrew? Roger Lockhart, he's checking in from an overcast Newport Beach, just south of where our guest is today. Peter Sangmeister joining us from Long Beach. Let's get this one off the dock.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You were saying Phil Walker is in Ravenna.
Ravenna.
Is that in Italy, or is that Ravenna down in SoCal? One never knows, Julia.
The only one I know is in
Italia.
Yeah.
David James, can I please congratulate John Clauser? Yes, Dave, we're going to talk again about John Clauser. We did on the Tuesday show. He, the Nobel-winning physicist who is a keen yacht racer. It's really interesting, the interviews he's given in his full yachting regalia. We'll talk about that. John Lamberts Van Buren is hello from Holland. Guy Briere, don't call me Guy Briere from sunny Pensacola down on the Gulf Coast for Indigenous Peoples Weekend, a.k.a. Columbus Day, indeed. Jonathan Frank is from the good ship Sesurva in Galveston. He's also down in Texas, which, of course, is where John Emmett is. Welcome to our show number 558. We've got great sailor, young guy, 20 years old. Good friend, long time. His dad's a longtime friend, and I've gotten to know Peter and his two brothers over the last, 10 years or so. My co-host, of course, is here, Julia, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. I trust you are well, ma'am.
Oh, yes.
Any hot tips?
I've been enjoying the roar of the jets from Fleet Week.
Well, they normally, looking out on the bay, this is a live shot from the Sailforce Tower of the CBS San Francisco weather, one of their webcams, and you can see there's a pretty heavy layer of fog.
But it's low.
It's low, but whether they practiced yesterday afternoon.
And
finally.
This morning.
Well, I think those were the other. I don't think that was the Blue Angels, but we shall see. We're live from the Beach Street Yacht Club again, Studio B, and delighted to have you all with us. And we'll get right into the show, shall we? Shall we?
Of course.
There we go.
What are we waiting for?
We're waiting for my left finger to change the slide here so we can show you the pre-start slide that we've been using for the last few shows. Chicago Yacht Club's race committee, the superb race committee that at the start of this summer's Chicago MAC race, and we'll be using that. And if anybody wants to send another photo of your race committee in action for the pre-start shot, we'd love to have that as well. Looking forward to your new South Beach Yacht Club. I don't know who's that. Who is that, South Beach Yacht Club? We got a big show. We got a lot of news and information, news, views, and notables, including and especially he's standing by patiently in Long Beach at his home, where he's also in college. He's also the he's the assistant coach. At his high school where he went to school. Get to Peter Sangmeister in a minute. Christopher Beckwith is checking in. Hello. Gordon Smith, Danish professor of chemistry at the University of Copenhagen. Morten Meldal wins the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. Yeah, they're kind of doling those out, Julie, aren't they, day by day?
Mm-hmm.
I think yesterday was literature, and the day before was maybe chemistry, and Tuesday we saw the physics prize. We'll get into that. I'm going to start a little different order than usual this day in history, and you'll see why in a sec. But Julia, do you know what happened on this day in history in 1959? Here is your first clue.
Hubble.
No, 1959.
Oh, 59.
59.
Okay. Hawaii statehood.
Look at the clue.
I know.
That is Soviet era spacecraft. That is the Luna. Now, close. Gordon Smith says Sputnik. People are saying Sputnik. John Bertrand's in Cagliari in Sardinia at the Foiling Kite World Championship. Oh, John. No, that is Soviet era, and this really sparked the space race and some of the fear that went into the 62 missile crisis, because the Soviets at least appeared to be ahead of the U.S. in the space race. They launched Luna 3. Now, do you know what Luna 3 did that was notable on this day? There's another clue, Julia. Not the first man-made satellite, not the Russian monkey, not R2-D2. Oh, gosh. Julia, any idea?
Well,
People are Googling like crazy.
yeah. I mean, that's a map of the moon lakes or whatever they are.
That's close. Peter, I'm going to bring you in now, give you a shot. Welcome to the show, Peter. Peter Sangmeister down in Long Beach. Any idea what that was?
Absolutely no idea.
Let me turn your mic up a bit more. Steve Groover's getting close. First photo of the moon from space? No. Peter Taylor, first pictures of the moon? No. Sputnik was only 22 inches in diameter, Baton Cannon is saying. Baton Rouge, who's in Charleston. That is much bigger. Indeed, it is much bigger. Who's going to get it first? A, B, C, D.
Landing places.
No. Although the Chinese are going to be investigating those landing places perhaps in their next space mission, which is going to the moon, but the far side of the moon. On this day in 1959, the far side of the moon was seen for the first time courtesy of the USSR's Luna 3 space probe. A total of 29 pictures were taken, covering 70% of the far side. After the photography was complete, the spacecraft resumed spinning. It was out of control. They somehow stabilized it, passed over the north pole of the moon, and returned towards Earth. Attempts to transmit the pictures to the Soviet Union began on the 8th of October, but the early attempts were unsuccessful due to low signal strength. As Luna 3 drew closer to the Earth, a total of about 17 viewable but poor quality photos were transmitted. Took them, look at how long. It took them a long time, 10 days. All contact with the probe was lost on the 22nd of October 1959. The space probe was believed to have burned up in the Earth's atmosphere in March or April of 60, but another possibility was that it may have just not been, they didn't have the telescopes and the radar and so on in those days. It may have lasted longer than that, but on this day in history, 7th of October, 1959, we saw, or at least the Soviets did, and later on, the rest of us, through their pictures, saw the backside, the dark side. Isn't that a song?
Yes.
Isn't that a song, Peter? The Dark Side of the Moon?
I have no idea.
Julia?
No, Stingray says dark side of the moon is funny since it's not dark half the time.
That's true. Pink Floyd. Luca Craig's got it. The Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd. Okay. So much for this day in history. But that brings us to a segue that I wanted to talk about at the top of the show. I don't know about all of you, but I'm closing in on 70, and the first thing I remember, besides some family things that happened in life, I remember the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, 60 years ago this month. And as this crouton seems to be, at least, he's saber-rattling about nukes, and God forbid if he uses them, but there is a cartoon from 60 years ago when Khrushchev and Kennedy were seen to be arm wrestling over their nuclear stockpiles in the Cuban Missile Crisis and so on. Some of you are old enough to remember that. Julia, you'll remember that, I
Indeed.
suppose. And it was a scary few days, couple weeks in May and then October. And this gentleman, who you wonder if he's 100% or not. In fact, I don't even wonder that he is. And he's always not far. This man's not far from him, who carries the nuclear codes and the bags and the communications devices to allow the president to command our nuclear forces. And Biden gave this speech last night to a fundraising group in New York and said that nuclear Armageddon risk is the highest since that 62 crisis. And I know a lot of you in Europe are understandably nervous about it. You had Worley saying there's the football. Gosh. I don't think, this is what President Biden said last night, quote, I don't think there is any such thing as the ability to easily use a tactical nuclear weapon and not end up with Armageddon. President Biden said last night. He added that he was still, quote, trying to figure out, unquote, Putin's off-ramp, quote unquote, in Ukraine. He's trying to figure it out. Where does he find a way out, Biden asked. This is a fundraising group he was speaking to in New York last night. Where does he find himself in a position that does not only lose face, but lose significant power within Russia? Well, this last night was the prime minister, in fact, this morning, prime minister of Finland. She knows what the deal is.
Way out of the conflict.
Way out of the conflict. The way out of the conflict is to Russia to leave Ukraine. That's the way out of the conflict. Thank you.
That's Prime Minister Sanna Marin, right, Julia?
Yeah.
She seems pretty clear on what the way out of the conflict is.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to get into this at length, but I know it's got the world nervous. I'm a little on edge. The markets, obviously, here in the U.S. are on edge for a number of reasons, including that. Facebook user saying, I've seen reports that Soviet nuclear stockpile has been plundered and not maintained, and Russia is more likely to blow themselves up than anything else. I hope you're right, J. Frederick Bland. Bill Wingrove, I think that this is not something you drop at a political fundraiser. Yeah, exactly. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Weren't you, Julia?
Yes.
I was surprised by that as well, but I like the Finnish Prime Minister's response to all this. Now, the reason I did all that at the beginning of the show is because you may be hearing, in fact, you notice I'm now on an up-close personal dynamic mic instead of the usual overhead shotgun mic that we use here in the studio, but we're going to start hearing the Blue Angels. They're here in town, as Julia said. They've been practicing, and we expect to hear them practicing any minute, except that it is really foggy out there on the bay. I see a plane. There are the Canadian, what are they called, Julia? The Canadian somethings. Their team, one of the Air Force or the military precision teams are here normally. And that looks like that shot is frozen from the CBS.
It's not, though.
Well, there's a plane looks like it's frozen mid-air.
The clouds are moving.
Oh, are they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they are. You're right. Oh, that's a house. Well, in any event, if you start hearing, it's not because of the start of World War III. It's because we're right here in the marina, and they come in off the bay. They go right up and overhead, and they make a tremendous amount of noise. Yet normally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But they didn't practice until yesterday afternoon late when the fog finally did lift. And it is still, as you can see, plenty foggy. That may prevent them, Julia.
No.
That won't?
Not according to this morning's news from the Bay.
Good.
Because it's low fog.
Peter.
The Canadian precision team is called the Snowbirds.
Snowbirds, thank you. Did you Google that, or did you know that off the top of your head?
No, I knew that because the Thunderbirds make fun of them.
The Thunderbirds being our what? Our Air Force
precision team.
And the Blue Angels are our Navy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, do you know this, Peter? Because Paul Homchick says Blue Angels show starts at 3.
That's correct.
They're flying F-18s.
The Stingray up in Seattle, who of course is an aircraft, was an aerospace engineer at Boeing he's just now recently retired. He's saying, are the Angels there flying F-16s or 18s? Do you know the answer to that, Peter?
They fly 18s. And the Air Force flies 16s.
Wow. Okay. David James concurs. He says F-18. But there are other air demos before the 3 o'clock show, Paul Homchick is saying. Yes, that's true. And normally the Oracle biplane that is a aerobatic plane, it's a lot of fun. It's good. The air shows are quite good. It brings upwards to what, Julie? 1 million people into town, right?
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Yeah. Well, 1 million people can see it from...
Yeah, the Marin Headlands and across San Francisco and so on. So that if you start hearing a lot of noise, it's either the Snowbirds or the Blue Angels or God knows who else. But the show starts at 3, but again, you don't know with the fog. If they advance it or drop it off a little bit, we'll see. Now, Julia, do you know what day it is today?
Friendship Day.
Close. Peter, do you know?
No.
It's World. Did you see in my show credits, I actually hinted
Smiley.
at this. Yes, I had the smiley. You've got it, Julia. It's World Smiley Day.
I was born for this, who I am, how could I forget? I made it through the darkest part of the night.
James Cook University in Brisbane produced that video. It had a little misspelling in there, I noticed. You probably did. Are you feeling smiley today, Peter?
Oh, I'm always feeling smiley.
Give us your biggest and best smile.
That's good.
There we go. Julia?
Yes?
Are you, I mean, with all that talk about nuclear war and that.
The only way you get through it is smiling all the way.
That's right. So that's why I thought we'd start with that, and then we get into the smiles. Now we can get into the show. By the way, I'm talking with Travis Mayer a couple times this week. He, the backer, the originator of this GoFundMe to help save the Edison Sailing Center down in Florida that was hurt very badly in the Hurricane Ian storm. And he tells me that they've already raised nearly half of their goal. It was up, I think they had 12K on Tuesday when we told you about this. They're now up to 22K. Congratulations. And I see a lot of people are giving as much as $5, even more thousands of dollars. And we, I know that Scuttlebutt and Sailing Anarchy and others have featured it, and we will continue to as well. We hope any of you are so inclined will help Edison Sailing Center and that very fine GoFundMe proposition being spearheaded by Travis Mayer, who's also a Fozy and is often on here watching. Okay, let's get to the starting line. We, as usual, want to go with our report from John Emmett in our coach's corner. And he remains where he was on Tuesday in Houston, but there's no wind in Houston today, so he is off touring, and we'll tell you about that. But he is in Houston at the esteemed TCYC, Texas Corinthian Yacht Club. That's what it looks like. It's a fabulous facility, and now there are lasers spread all over the lawn, left, right, and center at TCYC in Houston, actually down on Galveston Bay. And the ILCA 6 Women's World Championship, that's what we used to call the laser radial, is on starting this Sunday, as is the ILCA 6 Men's. So both the women's and the men's laser radial events are on. And as I said, the lasers are all over the lawn in front of the club on either side. And here's John's report.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. Well, you might be able to see from the background, but we had a no wind today. In fact, I was a little late on the water because I had a couple of punctures and it was glassy flat, and I was hoping Avery managed to get in okay. But yeah, a bit of construction work and a few flat tyres. So when I went to Walmart to try and get a replacement inner tubes, I suddenly realised that I don't really know the Imperial system. But there we go. It's just these little common differences between the UK and USA. In fact, probably the one thing, and I won't go down that route, is the political landscape here is so different from the UK. I think whatever happens, there's going to be some very unhappy people in November, because there seems to be an awful lot of strong feeling here, but there we go. So I said I'll try and go into the clubhouse because nothing's on the water, so I'm not actually sure how I get in. So we'll have to see how this goes. You see everybody's just hanging around on shore at the moment. Hopefully by the time we get to the event we'll have much better wind. Perhaps I should turn it round. You probably had more than enough of seeing John Emmett. Is it possible to get in to the club at the moment?
No.
No? Okay.
Hello. Nope.
No, I can't get in the club.
Starting tomorrow.
Okay,
Do you
so...
need a restroom? What do you need?
no, I was just going to do for a little walk around the club.
And do a little filming?
Yeah, I'll do that at a later date. Well,
we're highly secure. You can't take any pictures.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding you.
Okay. Well,
It'll be open tomorrow.
perfect. Well, I'll go for a little walk around the boat
Go
park.
for a walkabout.
And
You know what you say with your accent? You go
yeah.
for a walkabout?
Yep, a British person. I'll going for a walk around.
See if I can get in through the kitchen, which I might be able to.
So if you can get in through the kitchen, then maybe I can get inside. Okay, I think I found. I'm not quite sure if we can turn the camera around here. There we go. If I get arrested for breaking and entering, I'm hoping the Fozy are going to be getting me an Emmett release fund.
No.
No, we can't get in. Okay.
Not today, but tomorrow.
Not today, but for one of the shows next week, I'll do the little tour and also try and get you some stuff on the water. So you can't say I didn't try my best. Gonna just carry on having a little walk down with the all the sailors are getting ready. Hopefully I'm not going to embarrass anyone who's still changing or whatnot. And I'll try and do a proper talk next week. But this is the boat park. Couldn't get much closer to the ramp, and they've been really, really welcoming so far.
James Bland saying, yeah, fall in Texas, little to no wind. Was that funny or what, guys? Emmett's trying to get in the club. He promised us on Tuesday because it's a beautiful club. Any of you that have you ever sailed down there, Peter?
No, I've never sailed in Texas.
It's when you get a chance. TCYC is one of the top competitive clubs in this country. I mean, they turn out really good sailors, young and old and otherwise. Best of all our clubhouses, Hooters. Jonathan Frank is saying, what's that, Jonathan? How to order your steak in Houston. Just cut off the horns and clean it. Stingray. Julie, you can shake your finger at Stingray. That was crutonic.
Yes.
Huh?
Unnecessary. Stingray.
Unnecessary. What else? John is getting the Bob Euchre treatment by the Hot Club. Bill Wingrove is saying. Gordon Smith, this is brilliant live TV. John has a group. He is clean shaven, though. A couple of you noticed. Indeed. David James has a serious question. Do people ship their lasers or charter? I think it's a combo of both, David. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, Bravo Zulu, again, to John and to TCYC. They've got a big event starting there, on Sunday, on the 9th. Now, John, because there's no wind today, so yeah, I'm going to take the day off. And this is his mentee. This is Ebru Bolat from Romania, whom he is coaching. She's not been to the Olympics yet. She's getting steadily better under John's tutelage. And he's hoping very much, as is she, that she will make it to the Olympics in 2024 in Marseille. Today, however, with no wind and with no sailing contemplated, it's Neil Collingridge saying it's 100% charter at the Worlds. He would know his daughter is there sailing, I believe. They are there. Do you know where that is, Julia? In Houston?
Space Center.
It is, yeah, you can see it on the sign. It's the Space Center Houston. And John was outside that with his mentee a minute ago, Ebru, and that's what it looks like inside. These are not his photos. I grabbed these off the internet. You know what? Either of you know which capsule that is?
One that landed in the water early on.
Any idea, Peter?
Houston, we have a problem.
Is it 13?
Almost. Well, good guess. Bright boy. This is 11. It's the command module from Apollo 11. 13, of course, got back here, but just by the skin of its proverbial teeth. This is what this beautiful... Now, this is not to be confused, as our Texan friends will know, there's also the Johnson Space Center, which is the NASA's Operations Center in Houston, in Texas. This is a museum sitting side saddle with it, and it's I've not been, but by all accounts, it's spectacular. Ryman knew it was 11. Worley knew it was 11. Bill Wingrove saying, Houston, we have a problem, and it's not with John's report, but the famous line from Apollo 13, the movie and the book and more. So that's John's report. Thanks to John. And I'll go back. I get John Emmett sailing, get to the front of the fleet. Appreciate very much his regular reports. Peter, you ready to go on your feature here? We're delighted to have you with us. Welcome again to the show. Peter is his dad is a Fozy, has been on the show a number of times. I think this is Peter's first time, maybe second time. Peter, do you remember when I did a live show from your dad's restaurant?
So yeah, I guess this does classify. This is the second time I'm on the show.
I think it was at Christmas time. I was down there having lunch, and we had Tom Lewick and your dad and maybe your grandpa and your mom and grandmother and your brothers, and I think we were all sitting at a table. I pulled my iPhone out. We did a live show there from Gladstone's Long Beach now several years ago. Speaking of several years ago, thanks again for joining us. There you are on your red-decked fin. We're going to talk about that at the end of these slides. Do you remember this,
Yes,
Peter?
Yes, that was a fun night. It was the 25th anniversary of the 87 America's Cup win at San Diego Yacht Club. And my dad kind of snuck us in. He had to pull some strings to get us to go, but he really wanted us to meet everybody. So we were the only kids there. But But yeah, meeting Jack Sutphin and DC, everybody for the first time was pretty amazing because I'd heard my dad tell all these stories about all these people, but I never actually met any of them. So that was a fun night.
And the gentleman in the lower left?
Oh, it's escaping me.
Tom Whidden.
Okay.
The tactician extraordinaire for Dennis through several cups, and of course then for a long time president of North Sales. He still is, I think, president of North Marine Group. Now
Yes.
that's your brother. This is 10 years ago, so that's your brother William in the foreground
Yep.
with Tom and DC, and then your dad, of course, in the back, and then your twin brother
On the right there. Yeah, Jack.
Jack.
Yep. And yeah.
Is Jack the elder of the two of you?
Yeah, he's got about 30 to 40 seconds on me. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys were preemies, if you don't mind my saying. I know your dad has told me any number of times that you guys are right on the edge of life as kids, and it's amazing what medical science is able to do these days, and not only kept you alive and nursed you through those early months. How many months earlier were you born?
2.
It was quite some time.
Like 3 pounds 3 ounces.
Wow.
I was born. So yeah. And Jack had like an ounce on me or something. So yeah, we were pretty small.
Well, and you've turned into very smart and very capable guys, all three of you. And speaking of which, tell us about this photo.
This is a photo that was taken a couple months ago. Jack and I both received the rank of Eagle Scout back in 2020. Will is currently working towards that. I'm pretty sure, in this photo, at least on the patch, he's a star. I think he may have moved up since then, but I'm not sure. And my dad's currently the troop leader of our local troop, which is 105. They meet here in Belmont Shore every other Monday. So,
did you ever do Sea Scouts? Did you do any nautical naval stuff as part of your
did
Boy Scouts?
Scouts for a week. I sailed the Coat Cup back in 2016 with Trent Trigliato here in Long Beach. We finished second at that event. So we were Sea Scouts for a week.
Bill Koch has been a big supporter of the Sea Scouts. Bill Koch, of course, the Maxi owner and celebrated winner of the 1992 America's Cup. And he gave the Coke Cup, and he's given a fair few bucks, I know, to Sea Scouts and sponsors their national championship. I think to this day, I've spoken at it a couple times, and it's a terrific event. Just a little bit more in the middle here, talking about big boys. You and Jack are big boys, and you're both, what, age 20? How old is William in the middle?
Will is 15. He turns 16 next month, month and a half. So, yeah, we're working on getting him into the fin right now. In fact, actually, immediately after this, I'm gonna go do boat work on his boat, so he can go sailing this weekend. Need to get some rudder bearings so he can go sailing.
Does William have a fin as well?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that is cool. That's breaking news. I didn't know that. So there's your family of sailors, and we'll get to your mom in a minute. And here's your high school sailing team, modern day.
Yeah, this is the 2019 Silver PCCs.
PCCs. Remember, we have an international audience. The Pacific Coast Championship.
At Mission Bay Yacht Club. I don't remember where we finished. Second or third at that event, I think. And then the gold team finished fourth, I think, which was the first time that the gold team had podium or gotten a trophy at a PCCs for the modern day sailing team.
What are you doing with that team now?
I'm currently coaching the team as one of the three coaches. We have Aubrey Mayer, who's our head coach, and Greg Dare, and then myself. The team is actually just left to go up to Monterey for the first for the Sea Otter, which is the first regatta of the PCISA full team events. We've already had the single-handed qualifiers and the keelboat qualifiers. We have 2 sailors going to nationals in the laser in both the 6 and the 7, and then we won the keelboat qualifier down in San Diego Yacht Club with a race to spare. So they will be going to the nationals in the keelboat as well, which will be at St. Pete, if everything hasn't been destroyed. I'm not sure about that yet.
Well, Bill
so-
Wingrove's on here, and he will know because he's a Tampa sailor and a member of Davis Island Yacht Club, and he'll know about the rest of the clubs in the greater
they
Tampa
use,
Bay area.
J70 is there for the high school keelboat nationals.
If you're just joining us, we've got Peter Sangmeister, son of John and Sarah Tong Sangmeister, on live from Long Beach. He's 20 years old, a terrific sailor already, and a broad experience. We're going to talk more about just dinghy sailing. In fact, why don't we go to now your experience in catamarans? What is this, the Red Bull?
This was the qualifier for the 2018 Red Bull foiling generation down in Miami at Hobie Island. Sailed that event with Wells Drayton, who we got paired together the day we were there. I was trying to get Jeffrey Peterson to crew for me for that event, but his application was late, so we ended up getting paired, and been good friends with Wells ever since. I think he graduated from Tufts last year, which is awesome. We didn't do too well at the event, but we had a lot of fun and learned a lot.
What is the Red Bull foiling generation? Was that a short-lived thing, or is that still going on?
So they had two iterations of it, 2 years apart. They had the first one. So the Red Bull foiling generation was sailed in the Phantoms, in the foiling Phantoms, 18-foot catamaran. And they did a bunch of qualification series in different countries around the world: Australia, New Zealand, the U.S. I think the British had one, the Danish had one, the French had one. I want to say. I think that to tie in with their Youth America's Cup involvement at the time, when they were using they had the Red Bull Youth America's Cup in the AC-45s. And also tied in with their GC32 team, which was sailing the Extreme Sailing Series at the time. The whole thing was spearheaded by Roman Hagara and Hans-Peter Schechner, who are both gold medalists in the Tornado. And they would ship 6 of these Phantoms around the world. They had a qualification series in each country, and then they had the finals in 2016. The first one was in Rhode Island, and the second one, which is in 2018, was in Miami.
But you've done some other mully hull sailing.
Yes. Now in the GC32s, a group here in Long Beach, California, called Next Gen Sailing. They purchased 3 of the OC Sport GC32s, and this photo's from about exactly a year ago. We had 2 boats sailing in December of last year with a trial team of Sail GP Canada and another team run by Riley Gibbs, which was great. Unfortunately, the funding was short for it, so we've since packed up the boats and they've been sitting in limbo. But hopefully they either will get used again or will go to some new owner who will use them, which will be good, because it's a shame that these 3 amazing cats are just sitting in containers up in Pedro right now, but it is what it is. Lots learned there. This is the same group who also had an AC-45, and they capsized it. So caught a gigantic chunk of kelp on the elevator and rounded the boat down. So my brother and I actually were down at the air show off of Huntington Beach, and we were coming back up in our rib, and my brother was like, "What is that over there?" Because we were doing 45 knots, I think, just trying to get home as quick as possible because we had to do homework. And I go, "That looks like a flip catamaran," but we were quite far away, so I thought it was just like a little 18-footer or something, and we get closer and closer. I'm like, "Oh, that's a really big catamaran." Oh, wait, there's only one really big catamaran who's sailing out here that has foils. Oh, that's the boat that this rib is supposed to be tending to. So then so that was like just great timing. Matt Bryan and Pete Melvin and Jerry Fiat, and they're all sitting on the boat. We pull up. I guess they had flipped about a minute before we showed up. So it was quite amazing timing on that, and we got the boat righted, and there was quite little damage to it, which is good. That boat has since gone on to Thailand, I believe. So yeah, fun in catamarans. Learned lots in the cats.
Now this is a more recent photo, but you've had quite an offshore career already at age 20.
Yeah, so this is my dad's boat, and Justin Smart's the Rock and Roll. We're currently in the middle of quite an extensive refit to the thing. It's a Andrews 68. Moved the nav station around. Gonna modifications to keel rudder and some new sails.
All in preparation for
Cabo and for Transpac, with the goal being the Transpac to win overall. This boat is the sister ship to the Piowacket, which is another very well campaigned boat out here on the West Coast. So definitely has the capability to win these bigger events.
the Roy Pat Disney boat.
Correct.
David James is asking who's building the sails.
North.
Okay.
So we're a full North boat.
How many Transpacks have you already done at the tender age of 20?
I've done 2. I did 2017 and 2021.
What happened in 2021?
We got the boat about 6 weeks before Transpac through it was donated by David Happ through Cal Maritime, and my dad was looking for a boat, and they said we have a boat. So we got it Memorial Day weekend. Did as much work as we could to it. We installed some bulkheads in the stern, watertight bulkheads in the stern and bow, but then just kind of went with what we had. Didn't have time to build any sails or anything like that. So it was a good learning experience to see where the boat is at, since we got to immediately put a lot of miles on it straight out the gate, and then allowed us to know what we want to do. And a lot of that work has been done already, getting the boat ready for next year. I missed the 19 Transpac. That would have been exciting to go.
Tell us about 19.
Boat did not stay floating. I don't know if my dad's on this call, but
I see he's made a comment, so he must be on listening.
Yeah, I had school that year, so couldn't go, and the rudder fell out of the boat and the boat sank.
And rescued by Roy Pat Disney.
That I wasn't there, you probably would have freaked out a bit, but it would have been a cool story nonetheless.
So what year was this when you were driving? Is this 17?
2021.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, this was, I think I know which shirt I'm wearing, so this was close to the end of the race, maybe the last day or two, and then that's us finishing.
Diamond Head?
Yeah, Diamond Head. Yeah, and that, it's a fun race. We got beat pretty badly by the GI and the Pied Piper, but once again, those guys did a lot of work to their boats, and they're fully refined, with a crew that has sailed together for a long time on those boats. So we're coming for them next year.
Now, as Julia will know, she's been at the end of the Transpac any number of times. It's tradition for the teams to all be served a Mai Tai. And I guess you were, 19 at the time?
Yeah.
And so there you are with your Mai Tai.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Because
my mom poured it for me.
So your mom was there policing the action at the end of the race.
She and all of the the girlfriends and wives, they always put this amazing effort in at the end. I've having watched my dad do quite a few Transpacs, and I've seen my mom's the prepping that goes into the party for when the sailors get there is it's way more than you'd ever think, and we're forever grateful because
Has your
Great.
dad, have you or your dad, you and your dad, ever thought about, David James is asking, doing the Pac Cup in the even years, which starts from up here in San Francisco?
No,
No.
no, not normally. He can probably answer that better than I can.
Well-
We're more tied to Transpac. I mean, the start is, 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now, up at the Point Fermin Lighthouse, and we don't need to sail upwind out of San Francisco, and you reach for 2 days, and you're immediately into the VMG running. So
Your dad has just commented. He's saying, Julie, can you see the comment John's just made?
I was gonna get there. I was getting there.
You were?
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
My mom's also done the race 3 times, so we are quite the Transpac house, and I have no idea how many times my grandpa's done it. Probably 5, maybe more.
This is Peter Tong, the famous offshore sailor who your mother's dad, or your
I'm
grandfather.
sure my dad knows the answer to that question. I'm gonna say 5 or 6, probably.
Okay, how about let's have a look now. We'll go from Transpac to is this fleet racing or match racing in the Cat 37s? Adam?
This is fleet racing. So this is a group I sailed on a FAR 40 named Temptress down here in Southern California. Unfortunately, the boat, its dehumidifier fell over inside the boat, and the boat burned down. So this is that team. They've since gotten a new bigger boat, a Concordia 47. And John Turpin, who you can see, who's trimming the leeward there, also sails with us on the Rock and Roll. They wanted to, our plan, for this coming year was to sail Long Beach Race Week in the FAR 40, and unfortunately, the boat doesn't exist anymore. So we sailed in the 37s to get Ray Godwin, who was the owner of Temptress, just get him sailing again, and we got all the crew out, and we had a great regatta. I think we finished 2nd, so that was a fun event. This is Ficker Cup, sailing with Jeffrey Peterson and the Golden State Match Race team in the 37s at Long Beach Yacht Club. Let's call him Murley there in the background. And Jeffrey's now just been named the number 2 ranked match racer in the world, which is amazing. This is a photo of us at Butler Cup. We can, I guess, left to right, it's Ken Scherb, Max Brennan, myself, Jeffrey, Max Mail, and Brian McMartin. Next month, I am going to go. I'm going to go sail the Harkin at RPAYC and the Musto at CYCA in Australia with Max. So that'll be exciting as well.
Yeah, the national match racing championships are just taking off now, just about to start in New Zealand at the RNZ. And I know
Right.
Jeffrey's done a couple of those. I don't think he's done the New Zealand Nationals, but we'll be looking in on that next week. Just a comment about your parenting. Steve Groover, Julie, do you see this comment?
Yeah.
Replying to John Sangmeister, how is it possible that Peter doesn't know Dark Side of the Moon, the Pink Floyd tune? That's just bad parenting.
I'm the weird kid. I don't listen to any music that's older than 2010, basically. So.
Oh, come on.
My brother would know. He listens to all that rock music and whatnot.
What's that? William?
No, Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Well, he listens to whatever my dad's listening to. So his knowledge of older music is more than mine.
Well, maybe the problem is what the music is that your dad's listening to. We better have a word with him about that.
Well,
I know my 30-year-old daughter, Meg, knows the whole Beatles library and some of the stuff all the way back to the 20s. But, tell us about, we digress. Tell us about Jeffrey Peterson. He is now, what, did you say he's ranked number 2 in the world in match racing?
Correct, in open. So I met Jeffrey when I met Jeffrey at a soda clinic in San Diego in 2018. He then, I was looking at transferring schools.
What kind of a clinic? Hang on, you're using shorthand again.
I don't even know what soda stands for. I just know it's Dave Perry's youth match racing clinics that he runs normally before a Rose Cup, which is the youth match race national championship,
which we televised, I think, that year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I watched it. I remember that. And
by the way, back on that music point, Bill Wingrove in Tampa, down in Tampa, Florida. And by the way, somebody asked, I think Andrew Pindar asked, where's Davis Island Yacht Club? It is in Tampa, Florida.
There's a
And yeah, I see soda there too. But there is no music, Bill Wingrove is saying, from 2010 on. And SOTA, S-O-T-A,
oh, that's good to know.
state of the art is what J. Frederick Bland, I think, is Facebook user on here. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, all good. Yeah, so Jeffrey and I really became friends when I transferred to Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana here, where he and his parents were a really big driving force in having me transfer, and we've been great friends ever since. He sailed on the rock and roll with us a little bit. He's we've done some sailing together, and I've done some match racing with him, which is amazing because he's just so talented. And now he's at Georgetown, which is also amazing. And I think he just won their qualification for their district in match racing. And now is at the USMRC as we speak.
He is. He's, as we speak, they're racing at Seacliff, and they are at the USMRC, as you call it. That's the Prince of Wales Bowl, the United States Match Racing Senior Open Championship. We're going to talk about that in a sec, too. Now, you've also sailed this summer of 22, with some other impressive sailors, notably Morgan Pinckney of Newport Harbor Yacht Club, and you won a big event at Long Beach Yacht Club.
We won the Rose Cup in June at Long Beach Yacht Club. The Rose Cup's the Youth Match Racing National Championship. It was Long Beach Yacht Club's first time hosting the event in their soling fleet, which they've been building for the last 8 years through Scott Dixon, who's also a very, very good match racer. Our team was Ashley Highland, Morgan Pinckney, myself, and Will Glasson. Yeah, that was a nail biter. We won it in the last race. It was a tiebreaker, winner take all.
Yeah, we were there televising the Gov Cup TV team, Andy Rose and Chris Bretschker and myself. We were there, and it was a fabulous event, very nicely run by Long Beach Yacht Club, and you guys had a superb event. And did I say Seacliff a minute ago? Of course, I meant Oak Cliff.
Cliff, yeah.
In New York on Long Island. We're going to talk about that. LBYC rocks, David James is saying. Yeah, Long Beach Yacht Club. And of course, there's going to be a lot of action in Long Beach, Peter, because you've got another event coming up there in 2028 that your dad's helped behind the scenes, and maybe not so much behind the scenes, get the sailing, the yacht racing Olympic event in Long Beach instead of San Pedro, as you Angelinos call it, San Pedro, as us others who speak Spanish a little more fluently than the Angelinos. But it's going to be a good event in Long Beach. It was a fabulous event way before you were born, 1984, and we'll see if the U.S. can do as well. But I digress. Again, let's take you back to sailing with Morgan Pinckney. After winning the Rose Cup, you then went and sailed the Gov Cup, didn't do quite as well, at Balboa Yacht Club, Newport Beach in, what was that, August?
Last week of July. Yeah, it was a great experience. We didn't really have, at least for me, we didn't really know where we were going to finish up. Morgan finished third at that event in 2021, but with quite a weaker fleet of internationals. So we sailed to where we were going to end up. I thought the boats are super cool. And with the light air sailing there, and we had a couple days of breeze, which was also quite exciting because the boats are super powered up, those Gov Cup 22s, and they're really lightweight. They really like to spin, which was the first thing that surprised me the most was those boats that were designed by Alan Andrews. How well they match race for having such high aspect foils underneath them. And how we can get the boats to turn and such. So, it was a fun event.
How is it sailing with Morgan Pinckney compared to sailing with Jeffrey? Morgan's a lot younger. What is Morgan now, 17, 16?
He's 18.
18
turned
now?
18, the end of August. Morgan's another spectacular talent. He won his division in high school nationals the last 2 years. That we cumulatively won the high school national championship last year for the modern day high school sailing team. He has multiple, U.S. championships. He finished, I think I would say his biggest achievement so far is he finished 6th at the 505 Worlds in August, at where he turned 18. He turned 18 like halfway through the event, which was pretty spectacular. And since then, he's, I think he's slated for the American Magic Youth America's Cup team. He was back out east with them for 2 weeks, doing some training in the 69Fs with a lot of super competitive people who have foiled quite a bit. And he has, quite a little foiling experience, and immediately hopped in and was straight at the blocks competitive. And he's just another fantastic talent who I'm super lucky to go sailing with.
Is it true that he likes to surf and fish more than sail?
I would say so. Which is, he goes fishing a lot and he goes surfing a lot, but then he goes sailing in the afternoon. So it's probably balanced, but he does a lot of things. He's a very busy person.
Yeah. He is a very bright, talented kid. Julie, you know the story about us doing the Gulf Cup coverage.
Yes.
I guess not this year, but maybe the year before. And Andy Rose invited him out onto the media boat, onto Adios, our television boat, to join us in the commentary team.
Yes.
And he said, I want to go surfing. I don't really want to do that. But maybe while I'm surfing, I'll swim out to the boat. So he swam. Do you remember that, Peter? He swam out to the boat on his, I don't know.
Youth Worlds.
Was that Youth Worlds, I guess, 2 years ago? He swam out. We gave him a media shirt. He dried off and put the shirt on and did perfect commentary with us for, a couple, 3 hours. And then when it was all done, we said, okay, we're going back to the yacht club. Ride on back with us, and then you can go home. And he said, no, I think I'll just hop over the side and swim back in.
Which he did.
He had a surfboard with him, but he was a great guy. He is a terrific sailor. We're looking forward to his, he, like you, is multi-talented in multi-classes. As you said, he's just sailed in his first 5-0 Worlds, and he's been campaigning that class, which is hyper-competitive and a terrific boat. And we're going to talk about what makes good sailors and whether you're being a generalist or specializing in one class, which is better. Alex Kent is saying congrats to Sangmeister Jr., stoked to rally my former Ventana team to race this winter. Also got an invite to race on Green Buffalo this fall. I also enjoyed racing on Hurricane for a Rolex Big Boat Series, which races less frequently. So you must know Alex Kent, of course. And let's see, we've got now your matriculation to what is arguably the coolest, or one of the two coolest classes, at least, in the world. You just sailed in the Star Worlds with a former Star World champion and America's Cup star, John McCausland.
Yeah. So I guess I'll backpedal this story a little bit. So we had the Finn Nationals here at Alamitos Bay Yacht Club, and I had a good week. Finished 4th with John Bertrand coaching me. And I got this email from Johnny Mac. I'm like, honestly, I went to my dad. I was like, Dad, who is this? I wants me to tell the Western Hemispheres and the Worlds with him. And my dad's like, you should probably take him up on his offer. He's got a gold star and a sail, and he'll teach you a lot. And I was like, deal, done. So we sailed the Western Hemispheres at Lake Sunapee Yacht Club the end of August in New Hampshire, and then we had Worlds in the middle of September last month. And it was that was up to day 12 in the Star for me, I think, by then. I'd done a couple days in Newport and then 2 days in San Diego with George Zabo, and then the rest with John. So learned a lot. Unfortunately we got hit on the super windy day, and had to take aggregate points for that. And then we had fast boat speed, but I made some bad tactical calls and shot myself in the foot a couple times on some calls for John. But we finished 17th, so top 20 at Worlds for the first time was awesome.
How many boats?
84, I believe, was the number.
The 100th anniversary. The Centennial Star Worlds at Marblehead, Mass, at the Eastern Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Terrific storied yacht club. Did you enjoy sailing with Johnny Mack? You must have learned a lot.
I learned so much. I know. Well, unfortunately, John lives on the west coast of Florida, so he's been dealing with Hurricane Nis. But hopefully, we'll sail some of the winter series in Miami in December and January. We're putting together our schedules for that right now, but he's game to sail some more, which will be good, and then that'll lead me straight into Fin World. So I get to learn sailing in Miami from a guy who's won a bunch of stuff there.
So you're going to keep sailing with him?
Well, you invited me back, so I'll take it.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That alone is an endorsement, I think, of your sailing prowess.
There's a question here for Peter.
We're going to get to that when we get to the fin section in a sec. There's one from J. Frederick Bland.
Right.
Well, that's great news. I didn't know that, and I think sailing in the Star class is, it is still numero uno, the fin right up there with it. You're having a grand time. Now, tell us about Stingray saying, I forget, is the Star that's still in the Olympics. Okay, Stingray, he knows full well it's not. Tell us about this gentleman. You obviously, when we were in Marblehead, had a natter with Mr. Kayard.
Oh yeah, we just bumped into each other at the was it the opening night or second night, and we talked for a little bit, and I snapped a photo of him, and it's about the extent of my time talking with Paul Kayard. But at the event, we had 11 world champions, 9 of which were skippers, and then a couple of crews, I think, which was amazing. Oh man, I didn't send you the photo, but they had all of the world champions who were there go up on stage. Malin Burnham was there, and Paul and John and Zabo. The Italians, the Norwegians. There was just so many amazing sailors who I've seen all these names before, but it's oh, they're all standing right in front of me on a stage. This is pretty cool.
So why would you ever take the Star out of the Olympics? What's your view on that?
I don't know. I really don't. It's not any cheaper than having an ACRA program or whatnot. So they can't say cost. I get that the boats are expensive up front, but you need to buy a couple of NACRAs to do an Olympic campaign, and those boats are $40,000 a piece. If you're buying a P-Star or a C-Star for 70 grand, then
exactly.
You have to buy 3 NACRAs.
Do you think Paul can lead us back to the U.S., back to Olympic glory?
I hope he does. We're definitely rooting for all those guys. He's got his new structure that he's putting in place, and we'll see if that works. I mean, of course, hopefully it does, and can only wish them all the best. Be nice to see the U.S. team back at the top, especially with 2028 coming on.
How about you, Peter? Do you have Olympic aspirations?
Not right now. My buddy keeps telling me to try his IQ foil because I guess I'm about the right size. So he says that so one of these days we'll go out when there's breeze here, and we'll try that. Right now the focus is the fins and probably stars, but we'll have to see.
If you're just joining us, we're about an hour into our show number 558. As usual, live from San Francisco. If you hear the planes, I can hear Julia planes running around, which is why I'm on a different mic than usual to help avoid some of that noise here in the studio. Peter Sangmeister, 20-year-old Fozy from Long Beach, is with us live from Long Beach, from their home there. And his dad, of course, John's been on the show any number of times. And delighted to have Peter with us. Peter, now you're in college, and I know you're doing it as a lot of colleges are, all virtually or mostly virtually, right? You're on your computer at home, but this also helps you go sailing. I guess you can do the college work if you're bright and diligent. You can do it from your hotel room at a regatta. Is that right?
Yeah. So that's what's allowed me to sign up for all these events. Is I'm doing schooling fully online and fully asynchronous currently. It gives me some flexibility to do some sailing this semester. Just looking at the schedule when I put together my schedule for with Star Worlds and Star Western Hemispheres. It was automatically going to be 3 weeks that I'd be missing. So right at the gate, that's basically your semester over if you're missing that many days just in attendance. It's definitely a different path, but if it works, it works, and it's allowed me to say yes to a lot more sailing events than otherwise I would. I'm gonna go to Australia next month and do some match racing down there. So if I was in regular school with full scheduled courses, I wouldn't be able to just go to Australia for 2 weeks. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about the fin. There's a lot of questions, as Julia mentioned a minute ago, coming in about your hopping into a fin. What now? 2 years ago? How long ago?
About a year and a half. March of 2021.
And this is you and your red deck number 86, racing where?
This is the OCR last year.
Olympic classes regatta.
Yeah, in Long Beach. The fin, since it's become a non-Olympic boat, at least here regionally, we've seen quite an explosion in the boat's popularity due to either probably COVID and a bunch of other factors. 2 years ago, the first time I ever sailed a fin was in like the middle of 2020. Roland Fournier, who's a neighbor of ours, bought a boat, and we're all sitting around just locked inside, and the only people who were allowed to sail out of the yacht club were the single-ended boats. So it was basically fins, lasers, and moths were the only boats being sailed out of AYC at the time. And there was two fins, Andreas, who's actually the boat right behind me in this photo, who's a guy from Germany, and Roland. And so Roland was, hop in my boat. I literally sail around the bay here, just in front of the house, for about half an hour and hooked. And then started looking around for a boat for the next 6 months, basically. And that red deck Devotee came up for sale. It was in Missouri, and bought a mast and some sails, and just hopped into it and have been learning, as much as I could by myself. Then the interest here in Southern California grew quite a bit. The Newport Harbor fleet was 2 boats at one point, probably a couple years ago, and now they have 10 boats that get sailed regularly. At Alameda Bay Yacht Club, we have 6 to 10 boats that are being sailed. On the weekends, we have this emailing group, and who's going sailing this weekend? We all going sailing. We set a time, and then we all go out together. We sail for a few hours. We come back in. We discuss what was working for others and what was not. Everyone's sharing numbers and whatnot, which is fantastic, because that's one of the things in the fin is getting your setup right, which was something I never really played around with until people really started sharing their numbers and their knowledge in the class. More recently, before we had the nationals here in May, started getting coached by John Bertrand,
who by the way is on. He made a comment early in the show.
Okay, cool. I think he's in Europe right now coaching kites.
Yes.
And and he's helped tremendously in the few sessions that we've had. We had a couple of fleet sessions in April and then in May. Then we have the nationals, and then we did some more coaching in January, and then he'll coach me at Worlds in Miami.
So this red deck boat is a devotee.
Yes, it's a classic.
He asked, I sent one of the promo slide for today's show to Luca, and he said, "Well, give Peter my regards." I guess he knew. I didn't ask him. I guess he knew that you were sailing a devotee, and that is nice. He's doing very well, by the way. He's quite popular, as Julia will know, with our audience. He's been on the show any number of times. And Julia, now we've got some questions about fin sailing. Starting, why don't you go ahead?
I've lost it now. But what was it like just jumping into the fin?
So the first day, or I guess the first real day I sailed the boat, I'd done like 2 days in the bay, just trying to figure out my setup in the boat. And I went out with Andreas and Roland. And we went out and it was 8 to 12 knots. We sailed, a couple miles up, and we turned back down. The forecast for that day was supposed to be 8 to 12, and we got 16 to 18.
Did you go to the hospital afterwards to have back surgery or have your joints looked at? It's a tough boat, eh? I mean, I haven't sailed a fin in years, but when I did, I know that it was worse than playing a hockey game.
And so I bore away downwind. The upwind sailing is upwind sailing. You're hiking, and your legs hurt. You cleat the deck you cleat the boom to the deck, so you're not holding the main sheet and you're just driving. So it's more like a keel boat, more than anything. Is the closest similarity, other than you're fully hiking all the time. But then I went downwind, and I've watched all the world commentators. I was watching, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, holding the main sheet like that is like pulling a car." I'm like, it can't be that bad. It's like sailing on a laser, right? You just go downwind, you hold it, and you pump when you get on the wave. And I grabbed that thing for the first time. I probably put the board too far up, and so the boat was all unstable, and I had no idea what I was doing. And it like picked me right up. I was just, holy moly, this is hard. Like, and it's just my respect for the pros who make it look like they're pulling nothing. So
why have we taken the fin out of the Olympics? Here it is, arguably the most physical dinghy ever. Fantastic boat, tremendous competition, worldwide competition. It's just, this is a rhetorical question, but I cannot believe we took the fin out of the Olympics. I still can't believe it. John Lamberts Van Buren is saying, fins are great for frostbite sailing too. The workout keeps you nice and warm. I race fin through the winter here in Holland. Epic fun. There was the question from J. Frederick Bland, who's on here, a.k.a. Facebook user. Where was it? Is Peter planning on sailing in the U.S. Fin Gold Cup World Championship in Miami in January? And then he asked, part two of his question, what was the most difficult thing to learn stepping into the boat? Well, I guess Julia just asked and you answered perhaps. But are you going to sail in Miami?
Yes.
You are in the Gold Cup.
Yes. And the Gold Cup's going to be at the end of January.
You're a busy boy.
Yes,
Yeah. The let's see, I have them here. The Gold Cup dates are the 24th to the 31st out of Coconut Grove Yacht Club, or Sailing Center, I guess. And we should be sailing Cityfront Miami. Yeah, I'm super excited. We're probably going to have probably in the 80s in terms of fleet size is the current target. A lot of people have ordered new boats, so we'll have a lot of new boats coming to the U.S., which is good. Currently, that's probably one of the things holding back the class in the U.S. is that we're just short on newer boats, either the Fantastica, the Devotee Fantastica, or this new boat called the TT2, which just won the Worlds with PJ Posma. So there's a container of TT2s coming, and there's 5 containers of new Fantasticas and other boats coming. Which will be
for
good.
Miami, the end of January.
Yes. Most of those containers should be showing up probably early in December. And then, It's going to be great for the class though, because if most of those new masts, new sails, and new boats stay around, it'll allow the class to really build here. I think the shortage of what we have here is shortage of really, really nice boats. We have a lot of really nice like classics, so there's a
good vintage boats.
Well, there's two. It's just a separate design. The classic was a Devotee design until 2014 when the class updated their rules and disallowed carbon fiber. So then Devotee built this newer more modern shaped fin called a Fantastica, which is slightly flatter and wider. It goes faster downwind, and it goes faster in plus 10 knots of breeze versus the classic. So everyone in the Olympics at the Olympic level bought one immediately. But we don't have any here in the U.S. I think there's 3 of them in the U.S. and 2 of them are sitting at Alameda's Bay Yacht Club.
Let's go to a few other questions here. Who builds? David James is asking, who builds the fastest fin sails?
I'm going to be impartial because I'm a longtime user of the Blue Circle, so North. WB also creates great sails, and so does One Sails. But primarily North. North has won the last 8 Olympic medals, I think.
John Lambert's Van Buren saying WB. And then there's a question here. Fritz Mueller is making a comment. I love the boat, sailed them for about 10 years. Learning to sail by the lee is a challenge. Well, that's true. Certainly it is in a laser as well. Another point, somebody asked, what are the numbers? I guess Stingray said, what are the fin performance? What are the numbers that you're saying everybody's sharing? And, tell us about that.
So we're sharing like so in the fin, most of the boards, you can slide fore and aft, about 2 millimeters, which then changes the center of pressure in the boat. So you slide it aft in big breeze. The mast at the deck has a bunch of deck chocks that you can move 20 or 30 millimeters fore and aft, and then there's a turnbuckle at the bottom of the mast that you can wind fore and aft that changes your because you just crank the boom to the deck. The way you change the lead tension is by moving the mast fore and aft in the boat, and then when you get the breeze range here, we'll use my trophy here. You can move the mast further apart from the board, and you can move the board aft in the boat, and then you can also move the that, and then as well, all of the masts are custom, effectively, in their bend numbers. They're all built out of carbon, and there's really 2 major manufacturers of the masts, and it's Wilkie and HIT. And how stiff your mast is fore and aft and how stiff it is side to side also have a lot to do with how the boat feels. If you change masts from quite a stiff mast, like say side to side, my mast is extremely stiff side to side currently, and then you step into a boat that is quite a bit softer, the entire boat, even if you just change mast and you keep the same hull, the boat feels dramatically different to sail upwind. You're probably going to go about the same speed upwind, but it's how difficult it is to make that happen, or how the boat just feels underneath you.
To say nothing of getting getting the sail paired with the rig and vice versa, so that they're working well together. Hey, I'm going to jump in here because all this stuff, without getting into the weeds, you have learned so much in a year and a half of sailing the fin, stuff that you would never learn sailing lots of other boats, right?
Yeah, the only other boat I guess the Star, and then the fins has its own specific tuning issues, I guess, in that we don't have shrouds, so you can't really change like your rig settings on the fly, like in a 505, where you can just drop the rig back, and you can move the board and a bunch of other things. just like you can in the Star, where you can, you have your check stays and your back stays. So you can depower the rig that way. So it's just a different way of depowering the boat versus almost any other boat that I've ever sailed, just in the fact that you don't have shrouds. So you have to just move the entire mast physically instead of bending the rig more or less.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you some general questions, but I'll get to this general slide before we do that, because it's a family affair. Obviously, your mom and dad are sailors. I guess your brothers are all sailors. It's interesting to hear that William now is hopping into a fin as well. And this is what, Christmas time this past year?
I think it was last year, yeah.
And your dad and mom put on a fabulous Christmas party at your home there in Long Beach every year. I've been a couple times, I think. But tell us about how important the family has been to your sailing knowledge, sailing experience, sailing career.
Oh, everything. Without them, I wouldn't be doing any of this. With both my dad and my mom having so much time sailing, all three of us have all sailed just because, that's what we've all been doing. I've been on, motorboats and sailboats since I was 2, maybe younger than that even.
Did you feel pressured? Did you feel pressured into it? Is it something that you didn't want to do at any stage in your life, or was it something you just grew up with and always wanted to do and didn't know any different?
Probably that. I mean, my dad has his, in our old house, he had all of his America's Cup big posters on the wall, his big frame photos of the 87 and the 92 cups, and it was like that's just so cool. I want to do that. So no, it never has been felt pressured to do any of it. It's so much fun and all the stuff he's been doing and bringing us on the big boat offshore. Jack did Transpac as well last year with us. And then will probably do it, probably not next year, but maybe the year after, or then we're gonna get him out on the big boat more, because he kind of took a break from sailing for a little bit and then has now gotten back into it, which is good.
What's the best thing about sailing? How has it changed your life, your outlook on life? How's it changed?
The people for sure. Met so many people through sailing. Most of my friends I know through sailing. I actually really only have a pretty short list of friends outside of sailing. And then, all these people from literally around the world who I wouldn't have known otherwise. I love the social events, the big events at like Star Worlds. Like the big social events were amazing, getting to talk with people, and then, having a large group of people that have a very similar interest is just, fantastic. It's just fun to be around.
Fun to be around. Bravo Zulu. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And we all say that. It's the people, the smart, worldly, enthusiastic, diligent people in our sport. And that's why this show is fun for us.
And persistent.
And persistent. Are you in the gym? Are you working out in the gym?
Yep. I've been, I actually haven't been sailing the fin that much for the last 2 months. Just been in the gym a ton. Lost about 20 pounds since May.
Wow.
In preparation for Worlds.
What do you weigh now?
This morning I weighed 221.8.
You're a big boy. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Well, good. Well, speaking of the gym, I want to take you now to.
There's the jets.
Yeah, you can hear the jets probably now. They're again. I don't think. Well, I don't know. Let's see what's going on out there. It is still plenty foggy. You can see the ditch zone there. Let me see if I can get rid of that.
You can definitely hear them on your mic.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that lower third on that. Maybe I can. There we go. You can see the bridge, just the top of the North Tower, and the city down below it. This is looking from where is the CBS? That's at the top of the Salesforce Tower, right, Julia?
Yes.
So it's kind of looking northwest from downtown. You can see where there's no boats in the middle of the bay. That's the ditch zone. That's in case one of these jets has to drop out. I don't know who this is. There's one coming down now. You can see just over the bridge. And just this side of the fog.
Yeah, they just stay on top of it.
I don't know who that is, if that's a Blue Angel or if that's...
No, it's not a Blue
That
Angel.
looks like the Snowbirds, doesn't it? Well, let's go to another... a Fozy Focus, as I've started calling this segment, speaking of the gym, and see if any of you can identify this Fozy, who's a little older than you are, Peter.
Yeah.
97 kg body weight, 50 kg, 110 pound snatch. She's 66 years old, working towards 60 kilograms. Took up gym work 4 years ago, rehabbing a sprained ankle, advanced balance and fall prevention. Makes fin okay in snipe sailing, easy peasy. Any idea who that is?
Oh, that's James Frangic Bland.
It is. You're right,
Oh, is
Julia.
it?
Yeah, there he
Oh.
is. There it is. Exactly right. That's James Bland, who's on here, of course, in Austin, Texas, and a regular on here, a Fozy. And he sent that along earlier this week, not knowing that you were going to be on the show. So that was fun.
Yes.
Timing.
Now, I did know you were going to be on the show, and I wore this
Rain-
Hawaiian shirt,
Rain Spooner.
Rain Spooner shirt, Stag Crew shirt in your honor. One more thing to talk about before I let you go, and I know you're going to go sailing, I guess, with William. We mentioned at the top of the show, or at least top of this segment, that the U.S. Match Racing Championship is taking place today, tomorrow, and Sunday at Oak Cliff in New York, in Long Island. The U.S. Match Racing Championship is U.S. Sailing's top match racing event, gathering the best match racers in the country to compete for the Prince of Wales Bowl. It's a storied trophy. There is a picture of it that dates back to the early part of the last century. So the USMRC is taking place the 7th through the 9th. The POW originated in 1931 as a gift from His Royal Highness, Prince Edward Albert. And it was given, believe it or not, to the Royal Nova Scotia Yacht Squadron for the purpose of promoting small boat sailing among junior yachtsmen. And you wonder, well, how did it get into the U.S.? Well, in 65, the POW, the Prince of Wales Bowl, was transferred to the U.S. with the clear intent of fostering match racing on a national basis through the auspices of NARU, now U.S. Sailing. And NARU, in the 60s, in fact, up until 95 or 6, NARU was the North American Yacht Racing Union, and it included Canada and the U.S., and we had to split the two. That was the national governing body for both countries, and the Royal Nova Scotia Yacht Squadron was part of NARU, so they gave the bowl to NARU, and it wasn't just for American sailing, it was for all of North America. And then we split the POW Bowl, stayed with NARU when it became USYRU, U.S. Yacht Racing Union, now today U.S. Sailing. And this is a painting, I guess, from 1934, racing for the POW, the Prince of Wales Bowl, at the Royal Nova Scotia Yacht Squadron. Now, at Oak Cliff this morning, this photo was sent to me. Do you know all these gentlemen?
I know a few of them.
From the left is Joe Coyne, Tyler Wolk, J.C., also Joseph, I think is his name, J.C. Hermes, Danielle Pegg, and Jeffrey Peterson, representing Jeffrey's team, the Golden State Match Racing Team. Jeffrey, now the number 2 ranked match racer, open, no age limit in the world, and hoping to win the USMRC. What do you think their chances are?
Oh, I think they hopefully do better than we did last year. We had a rough USMRC last year here in Long Beach, but yeah, Jeffrey's got a lot of time in the match 40s. I don't know all the players there. I know Chris Poole's there, and I know a couple others. So it's quite a strong fleet as it is. Peter Holtz is there as well.
Nicole Briot.
Nicole. I don't know anybody else. I haven't looked, to be totally honest with you. So the regular super strong match racers in the U.S. are there right now, and those boats are quite good for match racing. I haven't actually sailed in them, but they look fantastic for match racing. He's got a very strong team of people, and he'll do great things if they put it all together as he does.
Well,
So.
he has been doing it of late. We wish him the best of luck, and he's I talked to him. I texted with him last night and this morning and said, hey, when you get up, send a picture, if you would, of your team, and we'll use it with Peter on the show, which we've now done, and we want to wish them the best of luck, and that whole regatta should be a terrific event. Match
Absolutely.
racing. Match 40s are epic, Peter Taylor is saying. Peter is not at the regatta. He is often there. He's our Fozy in New York City, and he often helps out at Oak Cliff. So that's it for this segment. If we'll let you go, Peter, but it's been a real pleasure to have you on and to tell us anything else that comes to mind about this sailing life of yours now. It's fantastic that you've had. What's your favorite boat?
Ooh, that's a...
And I understand it can change, too. I mean, I went through life thinking for a while that my favorite boat was the Sunfish, and now I think it's probably the Andrews 50 that we sail on down at Balboa Yacht Club.
Yeah.
And of course, when you get to be my age, you don't want to be on a boat that's much shorter than your age and shorter in feet than your age, right?
Yes.
But what's your favorite boat?
For catamarans, definitely a GC32. For monohulls, the list is too long. Stars are really cool, but so is the big offshore boat, which is also an Alan Andrews boat. So maybe we'll just give a shout out to Alan Andrews, say the Andrews 68.
Do you like single-handed sailing better than multi-handed?
It's hard to say. I mean, there are days where I'd rather be sailing with people, and then there are days where I'd rather not be sailing with anybody else. So, luckily I have the experience of sailing a lot in both, big crew categories and then single-handed. So.
Have you done any Etchell sailing? David James is asking if you've done any Etchell sailing.
No. The closest thing I have to the Etchells is the Soling here at Long Beach Yacht Club, which are more relaxed version of the Soling.
Well, you're doing the right thing, and I mean everybody on here will agree that the more boats, the different kinds of boats, classes that you get experience, and the better sailor you become. I think everyone agrees with that. Certainly was true for me, and Julia, you're shaking your head.
Absolutely,
yes.
yeah.
And it's fantastic to see bright young people in our sport like yourself, like Jeffrey, and all these other kids that we know. Gordon Smith is saying he's impressed at Peter's sailing activities and achievements. Great to hear about it. Ed Worley wanting to know if you've sailed on a 12 yet, on a 12 meter.
I have not, but it's definitely like a bucket list boat that I would like to go sailing on.
How about a Cal 40?
No, I've not sailed on a Cal 40.
Well, you've sailed on the Cat 37s, which are big, heavy, slow boats, which are in the same neighborhood.
Yes.
Well, from Long Beach Live, thank you very much for joining us and updating us on your amazing sailing career at age 20.
Yes,
and
very impressive.
Very impressive indeed. Lots of fun. And give. Whoa, there's a big one.
Yeah.
It's pretty foggy out there, Julia.
Well, I'll have to stay over the city, I guess, then.
Yeah. Well, they do. They come right in. There's this shot is looking northwest from downtown, and the yacht club is not quite in this shot. It's a little to the left.
Yeah.
And they do fly from the bay right over us here in the marina, right over the yacht clubs. Julia, you were saying.
Yeah, but this is about the end of the fog, so there, the whole valley and San Joaquin and Santa Clara Valley are fog free. So,
well, one can only hope. It is fairly low, as you say, but we'll see how it pans out. It's been a really foggy week, very interesting. But you're not foggy at all, Peter. It's really nice to have you. It's nice to have you on here and to learn about your sailing exploits. Keep it up. What a fantastic job.
Yep. I have 2 people waiting at the club right now. They're like I can see them out my window. They're rigged. So,
You better hop.
yeah, I'm gonna get going.
Take good care. Regards to your mom and dad and your brothers.
Yes, indeed.
Always.
Okay. Ciao
you,
for
guys.
now. Thanks.
Bye.
Ciao.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
What a great kid.
Oh, yes.
And
I love the way he just knows all the little details as if they're written.
exactly, and the self-confidence that
Yes.
one gets from our sport, the self-reliance, all the things we talk about on here all the time.
Yes.
Stingray's wanting to know if we're going to retreat for safety down to BSYC's bar. Well, the bar is just right next door. We don't even have to go very far, Stingray. But wait, there's more. We got a bit more show for you here in the last half an hour. We're going to do a Bravo Zulu, couple of cool videos. But we told you on Tuesday about this sailor physicist here in the Bay Area. Well, we've learned a bit more about him. And, I like to use this slide, Julie, at the end of the at the end of the show.
Yep.
All the smartest people sail. And, in many respects, I think that's true. Obviously, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. But this guy in the middle, who we told you on Tuesday, is from Walnut Creek from here, John Clauser, who is one of the three splitting that approximately $1 million Nobel Prize in physics this year for work that he did some 50 years ago. And when he's done all these interviews this week, and he's done lots of them. I mean, I'm going to play one of them. It's a brief video, but he's in his team shirt.
Yep.
He's got an ID 1D48, a one design 48
Bodacious,
called
yeah.
Bodacious. You see where he's all his trophies in the background.
Yeah.
And he's wearing his team shirt when he did interviews for Reuters and for God knows who else.
Mm-hmm.
And just a terrific guy, Berkeley sailor, John Clauser. We were turned on to this by Lance Burke, who's a FOSI. He won the Nobel Prize, as we told you, in physics for proving quantum entanglement. Now, you know what? Again, quantum entanglement, I have to look into that too. Quantum entanglement is the fact that two atoms, two subparticles can influence each other and, from being miles apart, literally. So this guy is a longtime racer. And of course, this quantum entanglement is the basis for quantum computing, yada, yada, yada. We got to get somebody on here to tell us some more about that. Longtime Yacht Racing Association here in the Bay, and BYC also at Rochester, or at, not Rochester Yacht Club, up at Richmond Yacht Club. BYC Race Committee organizer John Clauser. And thanks, Lance Burke, for that. Here is his interview.
So what was your initial reaction? When
I
you
was
found out?
very happy. This has been a long. This is all for work that I did more than 50 years ago. I told I'm sharing this with Alan Aspect from Paris and Anton Zeilinger from Vienna. I'm happy to still be alive in time. The experiment could test between predictions of quantum mechanics and the predictions of local realism. And it turns out that local realism is wrong. I had a lot of fun doing the experiments, and it was just very satisfying to finally understand what I didn't understand, understand it on a higher plane, I guess. The message for future studies is that I found doing physics was fun and very satisfying. Didn't get rich at it, but it was very satisfying discovering new things that nobody else knew in the process.
Great.
Now, isn't that a guy you want to just go have a beer with?
Of course.
Or a tequila and soda?
Yes.
I mean, he's a sailor. And he just looks and sounds like a typical sailor. He's enthusiastic about the world. He's curious. He's obviously very bright.
Yeah.
And he's having the time of his life
Yes.
at age 79.
As he should.
That piece via Reuters, thank you very much. And here is his boat, Dr. Clauser's 1D. The class has been called various things, but the one design 48 Bodacious, and that is from 3 weeks ago in the Rolex Big Boat Series. He raced in that, and he's a regular racer. Peter Taylor's right. We got to get him over here, see if he sings, and make him. And even if he doesn't, make him a BSYC member.
Yes.
Congratulations to Dr. Clauser on his. It's not every day that anybody, let alone a sailor, wins a Nobel Prize.
Yes.
Bravo Zulu. Good stuff. Okay, moving on. We've also got a nice video. This is the second week now, of the Voile, and the classic boats and some of the maxi sailed last week, but the big boats, the super maxis, are sailing this week, and we do have a video. Here it is. Not enough, isn't it? From this morning.
Pourquoi ces bateaux? Ça c'est une belle question. Robert Lacorte, il a décidé de faire les prochains bateaux, il doit être un bateau de course, un bateau régate sans compromis, seulement pour la vitesse. Nous avons vu qu'il y a les foils dans l'océan, dans les IMOCA, dans la Coupe de l'Amérique. Pourquoi pas on peut faire des foils pour faire des régates traditionnelles en Méditerranée. Il a appelé Mark Mills, il a dit ça c'est ce que je veux, ça c'est un pari, mais c'est ça c'est ce que je veux faire dans ma vie sportive prochaine. En fait, Roberto, notre propriétaire, il barre les bateaux. Nous ne sommes pas d'un équipage qui a fait la Coupe de l'Amérique. Nous ne sommes pas, comment dire, champions du monde de foiling, mais barreur, c'est la part plus facile de toute la gestion du bateau. La part plus compliquée, c'est le réglage des voiles et le réglage de la part dans l'eau, de l'hydrofoil. Il y a beaucoup de choses à configurer pendant le vol, le pitch, la quantité de redressement du bateau. On n'a pas constamment la même pression du vent sur les voiles, alors il faut rajouter et régler les voiles, mais aussi la part qui reste dans l'eau, que c'est la plus compliquée à gérer parce que c'est clair que c'est la plus importante quand vous marchez à vitesse presque 30 nœuds.
Flying Nika.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
There's some great photographies coming out of there.
What a regatta. Hopefully, Andrew McIrvin will have a report for us on Tuesday.
Yes.
I saw him rather earlier in the show saying he would do that. And we'll look forward to hearing. The physics jokes are flying now. Hi, Robin Gray is on. Pete Diekerhoff. There's a new name. Hi, Pete. Welcome. Mm-hmm. And a few others. Gianfranco Colombo is on. Nice to see here. As we move smartly forward, let's, and that was not a physics joke, but let's check in with SailGP. You all like these videos. These are the GoPro on boards.
Look in my eyes, you see a victory. We ain't taking L's, death to our enemies. You see the drip on me, you cannot get with me, you cannot stop me. Sit back and watch me straight to the top. When we drop, you better join us. Well, we hot, money in the bank, yo, we ain't playing. You should've listened when we said we staying. We ain't going nowhere, we ain't got no fear. Sit back and take notes, cause homie, we in here. Let's get ready for the rumble. All y'all welcome to the jungle. Hold up, y'all really trying to come at me? Bring it on. Enemies all around, ready for war now. Standing on this ground, and we will not give up the crown. Fight until the end, stay until we win. Y'all better bring it on. This is our battle song. Into the jungle. Into the jungle. got the sling. I'm taking your head when I enter the ring. No matter what opposition that you bring, I will be standing cause I am the king. I am the lion, this is my jungle. Like a gorilla, ready to rumble. All out till we take the crown. We ain't giving up, we ain't backing down. New money about to rise up. Time to move over cause your time's up. Way too hungry, never be denied. Pain in my eyes, aiming for the skies. Better sit down, better be humble. Hope you ready to enter the jungle. All around, ready for war now. Standing on this ground, and we will not give up the crown. Fight until the end, we stay until we win. Y'all better bring it on, cause this is our battle song. Into the jungle, into the jungle. You all on my nerves, you never return home. In the jungle. We ain't got no fear. We ain't got no I hope you're ready into the jungle. Into the jungle. You all on my nerves, you never return home. In the jungle.
Yeah.
Feel wet.
Yeah, but I think I agree with Gordon Smith. The editing of these GoPro vids is excellent. Really nice video. I'm not sure if Ed really liked the music or not, but the comments here flowing in. Stingray saying France has been hot in the past 2 sail GP events. Yeah. Replying to Gordon Smith, it is the best sailing video production series I've ever seen, meaning the Sail GP, I think is what Stingray is saying. But Julia, my point is that who would have thought sitting here, we started this 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We're closing in on 600 shows. And who would have thought 5 years ago we'd be talking here mostly about foiling catamarans, about foiling monohulls in the America's Cup. Mm-hmm. We'd have a 20-year-old kid on here who's a great sailor in the Star, the Finn, and also lots of other things, including match racing and big boats. Has been twice to, in the Transpac to Hawaii. And now we have flying Nika, the foiling Maxi.
Yes.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought I'd be sitting here in a Rain Spooner shirt, not my blazer? I mean, what's this world coming to?
Oh, you just never know.
Good stuff. We have one more Sail GP video, and it's in Spanish, but the kid is so cute. The team is so cool, the Spanish team, we had to run it.
Al final, la decisión de que yo a día de hoy sea el wing trimmer del equipo español de Sail GP es una decisión que se ha ido consensuando a lo largo de los años. Al final, la función de wing trimmer es una función increíble, es muy divertida y también una responsabilidad muy importante, ¿no? Yo personalmente inicié mi trayectoria en embarcaciones de foils con el kite foil cuando todo se inició, ¿no? Y luego me pasé al Nacra, que también foilea, llevando la mayor. Entonces había bastantes similitudes al ser un catamarán, también foilear, también llevaba la mayor y encajaba muy bien en ese perfil y bueno, lo hemos ido probando y parece que está dando sus resultados y yo personalmente me siento bastante cómodo y también muy motivado de poder estar llevando el ala en el equipo español. Bueno, aparte de, obviamente, encargarme de navegar y de mi posición de wing trimmer, de ahí nace una responsabilidad muy natural, que es que yo me encargue del ala en tierra también, ¿no? Entonces yo tengo como responsabilidad principal el supervisar y controlar que todas las mañanas, antes del rollout, antes de ir hacia la grúa, el ala esté chequeado, esté en condiciones para salir. Nos encanta lo que hacemos y esto es como lo máximo que hay en este deporte ahora mismo, ¿no? Pero no solo eso, sino que luego el hecho de poder compartirlo con todo tu equipo, no solo el equipo de a bordo, sino de todo el equipo en conjunto, con el ambiente que tenemos, esa actitud siempre tan positiva, la sonrisa que nos caracteriza, yo creo que hace de esta experiencia algo muy especial y eso es lo que al fin y al cabo más disfrutas, ¿no?
This experience is very special. And isn't that right? Bravo Zulu to SailGP for doing these videos in the native. Well, they're doing them in lots of languages of the teams, obviously the SailGP teams. Nice stuff. And sometimes you get lower thirds or the closed captions you can do it in English. And for some reason, if you watch it on YouTube, normally you can get them. Sometimes when I take them off YouTube, you don't. But Bravo Zulu to SailGP, Bravo Zulu to the Spanish team, and what was his name? Florian? Can't remember his name, but what a bright, attractive human being. Really nice stuff. SailGP next up in about 5 weeks, November 12th through 13, that weekend in Dubai. The Dubai Sail Grand Prix presented by P&O Marinas, which brings us to correct or Crutonic. Now, this is not becoming, space and aerospace and flying illustrated, but one of our FOSI sent this to us, and it relates to the America's Cup. It relates to Newport, Rhode Island, in fact. Are all-electric sea gliders the future for getting personnel to offshore oil platforms? French super major Total Energies is looking at the idea. It has reached an agreement with Massachusetts-based startup Regional Electric Ground Effect Nautical Transport. There is an America's Cup connection. I'm coming to it. The company, which is registered as Regent Craft Inc., has developed an all-electric wing-in ground effect, WIG they call it, I'm learning, vessel, the Sea Glider. It says that it has a backlog of $7 billion in provisional orders for the vessel, which has recently marked 2 important milestones. On August 30th, Regent reported that it has received an approval in principle from the Bureau Veritas Marine and Offshore for its 12-passenger fully electric Viceroy Sea Glider, yada, yada, yada. And the announcement of BVAIP was soon followed by the news that a quarter-scale, 18-foot wingspan technology demonstrator Sea Glider had completed its first successful series of flights in Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island. So apparently there's some backing from that corner of the world. This is the next great moment in the history of human transportation, quote unquote, said Billy Thalheimer, the company's CEO and co-founder. The quote continues, there has not been a new mode of transportation since the helicopter, unquote. A wing and ground effect vehicle, a WIG vehicle, flies low within one wingspan over the water to take advantage of numerous aerodynamic and operational efficiencies, enabling the Sea Glider to offer increased payload capability and greater range than other electric aircraft concepts. Let's watch the video.
With flat water. Amazing.
It is amazing. That was the first bridge, was the Newport Bridge. I don't know what bridge that is. The Newport Bridge in Narragansett Bay, but the second one I don't know. So here's the Regent video. I've got one more slide. We're going to dedicate this whole thing to Stingray. He's the Boeing engineer, retired. And it's not that it's electric, Commodores and ladies and gentlemen. The Sea Glider operates in 3 modes. From the dock, the vehicle first drives on its hull like a traditional boat. As it leaves the harbor area and speeds up, it rises up on its hydrofoils. Did you see? You see it here in this photo. A key maritime technology popularized by the America's Cup sailing competitions. Really? The hydrofoil offers significant wave tolerance and a smooth ride as the Sea Glider leaves a crowded harbor. Upon reaching open water, the Sea Glider takes flight, retracting the foil and accelerating up to cruise speed, all while staying within a wingspan of the water surface. Driving a Sea Glider is enabled by coupling advanced digital flight software, no joke, with simple boat control. So it's not just that it's electric, it's that it's a foiling new aircraft, at least in its launch phase. Is that cool or what?
It is.
Stingray, we dedicate that to you. Don Lunabo saying, very cool. Looks a little bit like the new AC-40, Stingray is saying. Okay, thanks to Guy Briere, who sent that along. And Guy, of course, in New Orleans, well, today he's in Pensacola, I guess, but that's how they think they may be servicing the oil rigs in the Gulf in future if President Biden lets them continue to pump oil out of the Gulf. If we don't, we're going to be in a world of hurt, even more so than we are in this country. So it's the spruce goose with foils, Bill Haynes is saying. That's a smart comment.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting here toward the end. We're about an hour and 50 minutes in, and I've got an America's Cup report. I got to do the AC because it's there's some cool developments there as well. The AC-37 Cup date. And here is the new design team for Alinghi. It's been announced by video. Cool video.
Arnaud, where is the boat?
Martino Odin speaking.
We have the crew, now we need the boat.
Yes, we can help you. Okay, so this is our training boat Zero. Now you have to go sailing, gather as much information, and we'll design a fast boat for you.
Sounds like a plan. Let's go sailing.
Let's get working. We need to build a boat.
Hi Marcelino, what can I do for you?
We're designing an America's Cup boat, and we would like to count with your experience to design a very fast boat.
Yeah, sure, Barcelona, that sounds great. I'll see you there. Bye.
Welcome to Barcelona. I can't wait to join forces.
Thanks very much, it's great to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
If the team is half as good as their video.
Oh, I know. I was going to say confidence builder. Yeah.
And of course, F1 comes to the America's Cup even more so than just with what Sir Ben is doing and so
Right.
everybody's doing basically. Cool stuff. I still think this is the #1 challenger, and they're just brand new at this.
Since the beginning.
I've been saying it for some time now. We'll see. Yeah, Stingray, the YouTube channel for the AC has a new recon playlist, digitally dated, and they're cool. They're cool videos, and we'll be running some of them, of course. This is from the other corner, the other side of the planet. This is down in Auckland, where they've wrapped up now. According to Richard Gladwell, the Defenders are expected to move into testing mode after the commissioning of the first AC-40. The second one will be delivered soon to Sir Ben Ainslie and his British team. But this AC-40 commissioning period has ended, and now we have a video with the reactions from Pete Burling.
All right, Pete, thanks for talking with us. Can you just give us, we haven't had a chat with you yet, so just your first impressions on the AC40?
Yeah, I mean, the AC40 is an absolutely amazing little boat, and to be able to jump on and whatever we are, day 5 now, to be able to be out there in over 20 knots sailing around's pretty cool. There's definitely a lot of things that we're trying to set up a lot more simple than perhaps we would have them otherwise for the one design and what the fleet's going to get used for down the road. So, no, it's definitely a cool project and exciting to be back sailing.
Awesome. So yeah, today we saw the boat was very level, looked very in control 90% of the time. So you're dialing the autopilot in. Is that the fact we're just sort of getting more information, more data from it?
Yeah, well, I think everything's improving right across the board. We're obviously still very much in the commissioning phase of this boat, so everything's getting better, and the way people are using systems, and so it's a pretty good gain across the board. But yeah, obviously the autopilot's a big part of that as well.
Today we did see a capsize, and it was interesting because it looked in control and then suddenly it wasn't. Can you talk us through what went on there?
Yeah, it was definitely very much a user error. On the capsize today, we actually raised the wrong board, so the board we were supposed to be foiling on, we raised that one and then rolled it over to the Lord. So now it's yeah, one of the more mundane kind of boring capsizes you'll do, but
so we just need
it's all part of
bigger labelling sticker machine for the switches. Or?
Yeah, well, it's all part of setting up systems that make them nice and economic and stuff, and getting used to them.
We did notice a difference early on in the session in twist. It seemed to be on port you were quite straight leached, and on starboard you seemed to have more twist. Is that just learning, just trying different things, or nothing? No, it was just
not
how it was.
Not quite sure, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to go back and look at it, but we're obviously just getting used to how the systems and trimming and everything, so yeah, I wouldn't look too closely at the super fine details. But
Understand. Hey, and just lastly, can you give us your tacking angles, approximate, jibing angles approximate, and the best speed you hit today?
Yeah, I'm not actually quite sure. It obviously varied a bit today, but yeah, probably tacking angles somewhere around 43, 45. Downwind, yeah, like 148, something like that. It was obviously in the windier end of it, and yeah, I think we got up to about 46 or something like that today. So no, we weren't pushing it too hard. Obviously day 5, so we're just kind of taking it nice and easy and just working our way up.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you so much, mate. 50, now when he says 50, we all know what he's talking about. We're talking about knots and not one of these other units that some other sailing events use. Stingray is asking, Julie, did you see this? Or no, John Lambert's Van Buren. Tom, if anyone knows, it's you. No, I don't know. Will Oracle come back to race for the Cup? I don't think anybody knows, including Larry Ellison himself, let alone Russell Coots. I think they're fully focused on Sail GP at the moment.
Yes.
But there is one other thing, America's Cup related, to report on this. They're finally getting some sailing time in Australia in pursuit of their land speed record. This today from Tip and Shaft, that very fine weekly newsletter out of France. Image of the week by James Somerset, who's a Kiwi photographer who's with the team. After weeks of waiting for the water to evaporate from Lake Gardner, I guess, in southern Australia, Horonuku, the vehicle developed by ETNZ and driven by Glenn Ashby, made its first tests this week on this salt lake, where he intends to tackle the absolute speed record for a machine propelled by the wind by the end of the year. The record to beat, 200.29 kilometers per hour, achieved in 2009 by Greenbird, a fairly similar wheeled proa led by Englishman Richard Jenkins. And here is their latest video.
Yep, keep it going. Keep going. We got down the lake this morning and to the rain event a couple of days ago. It's actually put a smile on everyone's faces because a bit of salt reappearing on the other side of the lake there. It's a great thing. The opportunity now is to just continue with probably one of the biggest things which we possibly underestimated a bit was the salt ingress, and that water and salts just interrogated a lot of areas on the craft that we didn't think they'd get to.
Oh, it's snowing. Lots of salt. Like this is actually quite a sealed part of the craft. The only way for things to get in there is just through the sliding gaps in the fairings, and quite amazing how much it's gotten in there.
It's going through a full strip down and a clean out. And also now just going through other areas which we were looking to tweak, modify, and try and create some gains. We learned a lot just with a few runs on the lake the other day, and so the opportunity now is to just get ourselves 100% ready. We'll be learning so much more. Every minute of every run at the moment is huge gains for the team.
What do you think of that? You think they'll break it? What do you all think? What do the Fozy think? Are they going to break the record? If salt is getting in, then there is air leaks and drag. James Frederick Bland is saying, why do I have a black square over my shoulder? That's not good. While we're on the cup, before we leave it, we've got this cup history challenge we promised you on Tuesday from our Fozy Ed Worley. A bit of a trivia question. Which America's Cup yacht was fitted with Nelsons? What was the design innovation and who developed the design? Ed Worley asks the Fozy today. Here's your first clue.
Yes.
The Mermaid from 1995. The Nelsons. Does anyone know what the Nelsons were? That boat ended up being the Defender, taken over by Dennis Connor's team, our team that won the defense trials but then used the boat. There is your second clue. The Nelsons. Yes, they're the wings on the tip of the rudder. You will have figured that out. Designed by Bruce Nelson, the famous sailor, yacht designer, San Diego Yacht Club member, originally from New York, who I sailed with whom I sailed at the University of Michigan in the 70s.
Wow.
Fozy Bruce Nelson has been on the show three times, living down in San Diego. And the answer is that during the 95 America's Cup Series in San Diego, Pac 95, which had the Mermaid, the defense syndicate led by John Marshall, entered IACC US 36 Young America into the defense trials for the San Diego Yacht Club. The principal designer for Pac 95 was Bruce Nelson, and his design, Young America, was ultimately chosen to be the Defender, but it was sailed by the Stars and Stripes Syndicate, as I said a moment ago. One of the many design innovations seen in the design of Young America was the addition of 2-foot-long winglets to the rudder that were designated, or that were dubbed Nelsons, because Bruce came up with the idea. Nobody else had them. Nobody else has had them since, until the foils on the bottom, the T-foils on the bottom of rudders for foiling boats. And the question remains whether the boat was a little more stable because it pitched less in the famous San Diego Seaway, or whether the additional drag really slowed the boat down, and probably never know. The Mermaid, as Peter Taylor say, now an art piece in upstate New York with a link. Indeed it is. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ed Worley, for that trivia question, the Fozy Challenge for the America's Cup for today. And we got one other promotional video. It's a lot of stuff happening in the sport here, Julia.
Oh, yes.
Have a look at this video. 100 days to what?
The ocean race is another level.
Around the world.
It is a magical race.
Human story.
The ocean race.
A sport story. It's life.
It's a great challenge. It's an adventure.
It's the ultimate team test.
24/7. You will discover your new limits.
It's extreme.
Extreme competition, extreme adventure. It's a big, big roller coaster of emotions.
A leap into the unknown.
The ocean race.
The ocean race.
$100 days to go.
100 days to go. Be there.
Be there.
Be there.
Starting Alicante, Spain.
15th of January.
2023. Be there.
100 days. What do you think, Julia?
I think that's incredible.
It seems like we just stopped covering it.
I know. Well, we probably did. Yeah.
Here we go again, even though it was delayed a year. I mean, because of COVID, obviously. Yeah. But we did cover it, and we'll cover it again, and we'll cover the Vendée Globe because so many of you think we should and enjoyed it, as did we. Back on that World Land Speed record, Stingray says they will definitely break it. ETNZ's conservative estimate is 250 kph, and 204 kilometers per hour is the current record. Don Lunabos agrees. Ed Worley thinks it's cool technology. We shall see. Can't wait for this race. Can we find someone to tell us about it? Yeah, we will. We've got several people that are keen to come on to talk about the ocean race, and we'll do that. Jonathan Frank, I really hope 11th Hour Racing can complete it without running into something. Yeah, indeed. That's true. Okay, gets us to the D block after 2 hours and 5 minutes. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And this first picture is a bit disturbing. I warned you at the top of the show.
Oh.
You know who that is? That's our Fozy, David Pricey Price.
Oh, that's Pricey.
Pricey Price.
Yeah.
And that was sent by Christiane Price, his wife, they've all been on the show. Where's my phone? The text was that he's having some wrist surgery. I thought he must have fallen skiing or something, but you can see he's had some wrist surgery. He's not really busted up. He's in hospital, and it's going to be a 6+ week recovery period, but he's fine. He's doing fine. He was on here watching the show. What time is it in Sydney? It's 9 in the morning on Saturday. And here he is. There's David Price. Hi, guys. Doing well. New wings. Pricey's on here. David, we wish all of you and everybody on here, I'm sure, is wishing you a speedy recovery. And again, it was, I guess, elective surgery. Is that right, Pricey? And it wasn't that you fell off your skis or something. I know you're an avid skier. Didn't have a car crash. So we wish you a speedy and full recovery after your surgeries. Okay, on to some funnier stuff. I guess that was funny. Yeah, but David is saying, yep, upgrades. He's saying upgrades too. Okay. 100,000-mile upgrades. If you think you are smarter than the previous generation, yeah, we're going to tell Meg. Meg's showing up here today, right, Julie? She's going to be here by 6 o'clock tonight, spend the long weekend here. Our
That'll be great to see her.
Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, what we used to call Columbus Day.
Yeah.
We still call it Columbus Day. If you and your clan and Peter Sangmeister think you're smarter than the previous generation, 50 years ago, the owner's manual of a car showed you how to adjust the valves, to say nothing of all these other things like oil and fluids. And today it warns you not to drink the contents of the battery. Don't drink the battery acid. And if you think that's crazy, here's one that's even crazier. On a gas pump, caution, do not insert in mouth or rectum. That is not Photoshop. That is real.
Oh.
Unbelievable. How stupid. Why do we, in this day and age, have to put that kind of stuff on? It's like when you see a commercial and they say, don't try this at home.
But the worst part is the person who should read it probably can't read.
Maybe. Unbelievable. Well, you got to laugh. Gordon Smith's laughing anyway. Now this one, speaking of cars, and I did after, I think, Julia, I don't think I've gotten my car washed since before the pandemic.
Yeah, I don't either.
And of course, because it's in the garage here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, it doesn't get too dirty. It gets dirty if I drive over to the yacht club and sit there with the
under the trees.
Seagulls and under the trees and the birds. Well, apropos this and my clean car, I hope it doesn't rain. I haven't seen a windshield for miles. Then you'll just have to hold it.
Yes.
Hold my beer, Steve Gruber. Okay, so we have a few car jokes today. That gets us to the finish line. And just to say that next Friday, we'll do a show Tuesday, but next Friday I'm going to be at 44th Street at the New York Yacht Club, as we said on Tuesday's show, for the America's Cup Hall of Fame induction, the class of 2022. Larry Ellison, Dirk Kramers, and Dawn Riley will be inducted, and be very pleased to be there to celebrate their contributions to our beloved sport and to the America's Cup.
Yes.
And so no show next Friday, a week from today. But we'll be here Tuesday. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. I knew we were going to be over 2 hours, Julie, so I held his, which is in the can.
Right.
A nice one, a good one, about volunteerism in sport. I'll hold that until Tuesday.
I think I watched it.
Well, he sends them to both of us, so
Yeah.
you probably have.
Yeah.
I've looked at it as well. Stingray saying, I hope Larry attends. I have no idea if he is, but we'll see. The car doesn't get dirty because there's a boat hanging over it, keeping the dust up. Well, the truth is, the boat's still hanging in the garage, waiting for the tsunami.
Yes, but you may be I may be the last man who laughs.
I will never. No, you won't, because I will never get the thing out of the top of the garage.
It's on a pulley.
I know, but I still won't get it off, and you and I won't be able to get into it. You could barely get down here today from the Commodore's quarters up top. How am I going to get you into that boat? And even so,
the pulley.
no, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top floor, up to your apartment, and then we're going to wave a white flag and hope somebody's going by in a helicopter if we get into a problem here with it. When the big one hits. Thanks, everybody. Julia, your witness.
Yes. There are lots of fun stuff today to like, follow, and share, and it just takes one flick of your button.
Comments welcome too, even in replay. And speaking of comments, Peter Taylor saying you need to keep a bottle of tequila in the boat as an inducement.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Maybe we'll put one down there in the garage right next to the boat. Of course, we like it. Ed Worley, thank you very much. Steve Atkins later. I hope Steve's doing well. Thank you very much, Commodore Atkins. Thanks, everybody else. If you want to support us on Patreon, we appreciate it. Patreon.com/join Sailing Illustrated. Julia, final thoughts?
It helps us a lot.
Patreon does.
Yes.
It does. Thanks, Don Lunabos. Thank you, Stingray. And it's a great vibe. We have a great family. And wasn't Peter awesome?
He was.
He was fabulous.
He was.
Get some more. I mean, it's like the Gov Cup kids we've had on here. They're awesome people.
I just love what they know exactly what they're talking about, and more. I mean,
exactly.
I love to see that.
Great stuff. Jonathan Frank, awesome afternoon sailing with Sailing Illustrated and the Fosey. Time to dock. Yeah, we'll dock in, and the rest of you can dock out. Have a great weekend. If you're already started your weekend down under, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you can, bloody well go sailing. We'll see you on Tuesday. Not next Friday, but for sure Tuesday. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.